chosen one, can I ask you something that might shake you? Why are you still here? No, really, why didn't God take you home when your spouse passed? Why are you still breathing after that diagnosis the doctors said would end you? Why, after 70, 80, 90 years of praying, struggling, and watching others give up, why does your heart still beat this morning? Because, beloved, if you're watching this before November 23rd, this isn't accident. This is appointment. There's a stirring happening right now across America. In nursing homes from Brooklyn to the Bronx, in quiet apartments where widows sit alone, in living rooms where grandfathers stare at photos of children who stopped calling something is moving. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness in your chest, that ache you can't name, that whisper in the 3 a.m. darkness saying, not yet, there's more. The enemy wants you to call it loneliness. The world calls it old age, but heaven calls it activation. Listen to me carefully. November 23rd is not just another day on the calendar collecting dust. It's a divine checkpoint, a cosmic doorway. And right now, this very second, your life is standing at that threshold, and heaven himself is turning the knob. You've survived losses that would have shattered weaker souls. You've buried people you couldn't live without, yet somehow you're still here. You've watched your body betray you, your savings disappear, your dreams get buried under decades of not yet and maybe never. But something ancient in your spirit refuses to die. Something eternal keeps whispering, there's more. And that whisper, that's not your imagination, that's prophecy. Before we go deeper, I need to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel forgotten in their final chapters. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit lead your heart. But here's what I need you to understand. There is one sign, one unmistakable sign that your final miracle shift has already begun. Not coming, not someday, already activated. And I'm going to reveal it in part 5 of this message. But only those who stay will discover if they're carrying it. If your spirit already feels something shifting, if something in your bones knows this message found you on purpose, type, I'm ready in the comments right now. Let heaven see your agreement. Let the angels take notice that you're still here, still believing, still expecting God to have the final word over your life. Because, beloved, what's about to unfold in the next hour will either confirm what your spirit's been whispering or shatter every lie the enemy's been screaming. Your final miracle isn't coming. It's here. How many nights have you lain awake wondering if God's forgotten your address? How many mornings have you opened your eyes and felt the weight before your feet even touched the floor? How many times have you whispered into the darkness, Lord, did I waste the time you gave me? I know you have. Because that 3 a.m. conversation with the ceiling isn't just yours. It's happening right now in 10,000 bedrooms across America. Widows in Queens counting the empty pillows. Grandfathers in the Bronx staring at phone screens that never light up with their children's names. Mothers in Manhattan replaying decisions from 40 years ago, wondering if different choices would have led to different outcomes. You've been carrying something so heavy that you can't even name it anymore. It's not just loneliness, though God knows you've felt that knife twist deep. It's not just the fear of running out of time, though every birthday candle feels like a countdown instead of a celebration. It's something deeper. It's the exhausting weight of unanswered prayers that have piled up like unopened letters from heaven. You prayed for that marriage to heal. It ended in divorce papers and silence. You prayed for those children to return to faith. They returned your calls less and less until they stopped returning them at all. You prayed for provision, for purpose, for just one clear sign that your life mattered beyond the bills you pay and the pills you take. And what did you get? More waiting. more silence, more years stacking up behind you, while the mirror shows a stranger you barely recognize. Let me tell you something that's going to cut through every lie you've been believing. That pressure crushing your chest, that heaviness making it hard to breathe some mornings, that feeling that you're carrying the weight of decades on shoulders that were never meant to bear it alone. That's not punishment, beloved. That's pregnancy. Something is crowning in your spirit right now, and the pain you feel isn't death, it's delivery. You're not declining, you're dilating. Heaven is about to birth something through you that's been forming in the secret place for longer than you can imagine. Think about Moses, 80 years old when God called him from that burning bush. 80. He'd spent 40 years thinking he was somebody in Pharaoh's palace, then 40 years thinking he was nobody in the wilderness. 40 years of obscurity. 40 years of tending sheep when he was destined to lead millions. And at 80, when the world would have written him off, when social security would have kicked in, when every logical voice would have said, "Your time has passed," God said, "Now you're ready." Moses didn't step into his purpose until his hair was white and his hands were weathered. Because God's timing isn't measured by birthday candles, it's measured by readiness. And readiness only comes through refining. You think you're too old? Sarah laughed at 90 when God promised her a son. Abraham was 100 when he held Isaac. Anna, the prophetess, was 84 when she finally saw the Messiah she'd been praying for her entire life. Luke 2:37 says she never left the temple, worshipping night and day, fasting and praying, night and day, for decades. And just when everyone else would have given up, just when logic would have screamed it's too late, there he was. The answer to every prayer she'd ever whispered. Your best days haven't passed, dear one. Your prepared days are just arriving. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. That exhaustion you feel, that bone-deep weariness that 8 hours of sleep can't touch. It's not age, it's spiritual labor. You've been in transition for so long you thought it was your permanent address. But transition isn't a destination, it's a doorway. And right now, in ways you can't see yet, heaven has been working behind the scenes, rearranging circumstances, repositioning people, preparing divine appointments, orchestrating connections. While you've been feeling forgotten, God has been setting up your finale. The pressure isn't breaking you. It's making room for something bigger than your current capacity can hold. Making room for a miracle so massive that your old mindset had to be crushed to contain it. Making room for a purpose so weighty that everything flimsy had to be burned away first. Isaiah 66:9 asks the question that should stop you in your tracks. Shall I bring to the time of birth and not cause delivery? Or shall I cause delivery and shut up the womb? God doesn't bring you to the crowning moment just to leave you stuck. If you're feeling the pressure, it means you're closer to breakthrough than breakdown. But I need to tell you something that might sting before it heals. The reason this has taken so long isn't because God is slow. It's because what He's about to release through you required this exact length of preparation. A shorter process would have produced a smaller vessel. But you've been refined by decades. You've been tested by trials that would have destroyed weaker souls. You've been shaped by pain that carved out capacity most people will never have. And now, before this message ends, I'm going to show you the 3 exact things heaven has been preparing behind the scenes. 3 things you haven't recognized yet because you've been looking at your circumstances instead of your calling. 3 divine setups that are about to converge on November 23rd in a way that will leave you breathless. But first, you need to understand why the battle has been so fierce. Because what I'm about to reveal next will explain every attack, every setback, every moment you thought you were losing when heaven was actually positioning you to win. Listen to me, beloved. Some dates just mark time on a calendar. But some dates mark eternity breaking into your timeline. November 23rd isn't just another Thursday you'll forget by Friday. This is the day heaven has circled in red ink since before you were born. I need you to think back over your life right now. Really think. Haven't there been moments when everything shifted in a single day? The day you got that phone call about your mother. The morning you woke up and knew your marriage was over. The afternoon the doctor walked in with test results and your whole world tilted sideways. Those weren't random days. Those were appointed days. Divine intersections where the eternal collided with the ordinary. November 23rd is that kind of day. But this time, it's not tragedy knocking, it's your final miracle. You want to know how I know? Because I've been watching the signs. And if you're honest with yourself, you've been seeing them too. Strange things have been happening around you lately, haven't they? People who used to call every week suddenly go silent. Friends you've known for decades start acting distant for no reason. Doors you've been pushing on for years slam shut without warning. And you're sitting there wondering, God, what are you doing? Why is everything falling apart? But what if nothing's falling apart? What if everything's being cleared out? See, heaven can't bring the new while you're still clutching the old. God can't fill your hands with miracle when your fists are wrapped tight around what's familiar. So he starts removing. Strategically, deliberately, sometimes painfully, he distances the people who would distract you from your destiny. He closes the doors that would lead you away from your divine appointment. He strips away everything that doesn't belong in your next chapter. And I know it hurts. I know it feels like loss. I know you've been crying in the middle of the night, asking God why everyone's leaving, why everything's changing, why it feels like you're losing your grip on the life you knew. But chosen one, you're not losing your grip. You're being repositioned. Think about Abraham. God told him in Genesis 12:1, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you." Before Abraham could receive the promise, he had to release the familiar. Before the blessing could come, the breaking had to happen. And it wasn't random, it was divine strategy. Have you noticed something else? Old emotions rising up out of nowhere. Grief you thought you dealt with 20 years ago suddenly flooding back. Anger about things that happened in 1987 boiling to the surface. Regrets you buried decades ago digging themselves out of the grave. You thought you were healed, you thought you were over it. But here it is again, raw and real and demanding attention. That's not relapse, beloved. That's resurrection. God is bringing up everything that needs to be finally, completely, eternally settled before November 23rd. Because you can't carry old wounds into new seasons. You can't drag yesterday's pain into tomorrow's promise. So the Holy Spirit is performing emergency surgery, cutting out the infection you've been living with so long you forgot it was killing you. And your dreams. Oh, your dreams have been wild lately, haven't they? Vivid. Intense. So real you wake up disoriented, not sure which world you're actually living in. You're seeing people who've been dead for years, having conversations that feel more real than anything in your waking life. Visiting places you've never been but somehow recognize. Those aren't just dreams, dear one. Those are downloads. Heaven is speaking in the language of the subconscious because your conscious mind is too cluttered with doubt to receive what God is saying. He's showing you what's coming, preparing you, warning you, getting you ready for the shift that's about to hit your life like a holy earthquake. But here's what you need to understand, and this might shake you to your core. The enemy sees it too. He knows what's coming on November 23rd. He's been watching the same signs you've been seeing, and he's terrified. That's why the attacks have been so vicious lately. That's why your health has been acting up. That's why your finances have been tighter than ever. That's why you've been battling thoughts of giving up, thoughts of ending it all, thoughts that whisper, "What's the point? You're too old. You're too tired. You've missed your moment." Those thoughts aren't yours, beloved. That's warfare. The enemy attacks most violently when heaven is about to deliver the very blessing he fears. Think about it. When did Pharaoh's attacks on Israel intensify? Right before the Exodus. When did Herod order the massacre of babies? Right before the Messiah would rise. When did Satan offer Jesus all the kingdoms of the world? Right before his public ministry began. The ferocity of the attack is always proportional to the magnitude of the breakthrough. And if hell has been hitting you harder than ever, it's because your miracle is bigger than anything you've dared to imagine. In Matthew 11:12, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." Violence, not gentle suggestion, not polite request, violence. Because when God decides to shift your life, hell doesn't surrender quietly. But here's the truth that will set you free. The enemy wouldn't be fighting this hard if you weren't about to win. So let me ask you something. Are you going to believe what you see, or are you going to believe what God said? Are you going to interpret these signs as evidence that you're cursed, or as confirmation that you're chosen? Because November 23rd is coming whether you're ready or not. The question is, will you receive what heaven's about to release? If this is hitting you deep, if something in your spirit is confirming every word I'm speaking, whisper it in the comments right now. I receive this shift. Let heaven hear your agreement. Let the enemy know his time is up. But before that date arrives, there's something you need to know about what's been following you your entire life. Beloved, let me tell you something that's going to stop you in your tracks. Right now, in this very moment, heaven is broadcasting signals over your life. Not subtle hints, not gentle whispers. These are spiritual flares, divine markers that your final miracle shift has already begun. And if you've been feeling strange lately, if something in your world feels different but you can't quite name it, that's not confusion, that's confirmation. I'm about to reveal 7 unmistakable signs that prove you're standing on holy ground. And I need you to listen with every fiber of your being, because what I'm about to say will either confirm what your spirit already knows or wake up what's been sleeping for decades. Sign number 1. Your routine suddenly feels too small. You wake up and something's wrong. Not bad wrong, but off. That morning coffee doesn't taste the same. That TV show you've watched for years suddenly feels empty. The routine that kept you sane for decades now feels like a cage. You look around your apartment, your life, your daily rituals and think, is this it? Is this all there is? Listen to me carefully. That restlessness isn't depression. That's divine disruption. God is making you uncomfortable in Egypt because He's preparing you for the promised land. Exodus 3-7 says, I have surely seen the affliction of my people and have heard their cry. When God gets ready to move you, He first makes you miserable where you are. Sign number 2. Old wounds resurface, so God can remove them fully. Suddenly, you're thinking about things you buried 40 years ago. That betrayal from 1983, that loss from 1997, that rejection that shaped how you see yourself. You thought you dealt with it, you thought you moved on. But here it is again, fresh as yesterday's pain, making you cry in your kitchen at 2 a.m. Dear one, God doesn't reopen wounds to torture you. He reopens them to heal them completely. You put a band-aid on what needed surgery. But now, right now, the great physician is saying, it's time for the deep work. 2 Corinthians 5:17 promises, old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. But before the new can come, the old must be fully extracted. Sign number 3. Relationships shift unexpectedly. People you've known for 30 years suddenly feel like strangers. That friend who always called, silent. That family member who needed you constantly, gone. And it makes no sense. You didn't fight. Nothing dramatic happened. They just drifted. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. God is removing audience members from your life because you're about to step onto a stage they were never meant to witness. Psalm 1:1 warns, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Some people were assigned to your season of struggle, but they're not anointed for your season of shift. God is clearing the room before He fills it with glory. Sign number 4. You experience strange moments of peace. In the middle of chaos, bills unpaid, body aching, future uncertain, suddenly, inexplicably, you feel calm. Not denial, not numbness, peace. Real peace that makes absolutely no logical sense given your circumstances. You should be panicking, but instead, you're okay. That's not you losing your mind, beloved. That's Philippians 4-7, manifesting in real time. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. When heaven's peace guards you in the middle of hell's attack, that's proof that something bigger is protecting you. You're not crazy, you're covered. Sign number 5. You feel watched or guided. You're driving to the grocery store and suddenly take a different route. No reason, just felt right. You pick up the phone to call someone you haven't spoken to in years. You open your Bible to a random page, and the first verse you read speaks directly to your exact situation. Coincidence? No. Divine coordination. Proverbs 3-6 says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." When you start feeling guided, nudged, directed by an invisible hand, that's the Holy Spirit taking the wheel. You're not being paranoid, you're being positioned. Sign number 6. You're pulled towards silence and reflection. You used to fill every moment with noise, TV, radio, phone calls, anything to avoid being alone with your thoughts. But lately, you crave quiet. You turn off the television. You sit in stillness. You find yourself staring out the window, thinking, praying, processing. And it doesn't feel lonely anymore. It feels sacred. Jesus modeled this in Mark 1:35. In the morning, rising up a great while before day, he went out and departed into a solitary place, and there prayed. Before every major move in his ministry, Jesus withdrew to silence. When God pulls you into solitude, he's not isolating you, he's insulating you, preparing you, filling you with what you'll need for what's coming. Sign number 7. You feel both fear and excitement at once. This is the one that confirms everything. You're terrified and thrilled at the same time. Part of you wants to run back to what's familiar, part of you wants to leap into the unknown. Your hands shake, but your spirit soars. You're afraid, but you're also alive. More alive than you've felt in years. That holy tension. That's what Moses felt at the burning bush. That's what Sarah felt when God promised her a baby at 90. That's what Peter felt stepping out of the boat onto water. When fear and faith collide in your chest, when terror and trust dance together in your spirit, you're standing at the edge of miracle territory. You are not breaking down, beloved. You are breaking open. And that breaking? It's necessary. Because what God is about to birth through you is too big for your old container, your old life, your old limitations. But here's what you need to know. Sign number 7 connects directly to the secret I will reveal in part 5. The thing heaven is about to release. The miracle that's been waiting for your entire life to arrive at this exact moment. So tell me, chosen one, how many of these signs are you experiencing right now? Dear chosen one, I need to tell you something that's going to cut straight through every religious platitude you've ever heard. Something raw, something real, something that's been hidden in plain sight your entire life. You know that feeling you've been carrying for months now, maybe years, that sense that you don't fit anywhere anymore. Not at church, not at family gatherings, not even in your own home. You sit in rooms full of people and feel like a stranger. You try to engage in conversations that used to matter, but now they feel hollow, empty, meaningless. Your children think you're depressed. Your doctor wants to prescribe medication. Your friends stopped calling because you're not yourself anymore. And late at night, when everyone else is asleep, you lie there wondering if something's wrong with you, if you're losing your mind, if this is what dying feels like, not your body giving out, but your soul slowly disconnecting from a world that no longer makes sense. But what if I told you that disconnection isn't dysfunction? What if that displacement you feel isn't depression at all? What if it's divine realignment? Listen to me carefully. When God is about to shift your life, He doesn't send you an invitation. He disrupts your rhythm. He makes you uncomfortable in places that used to feel like home. He creates a holy restlessness so intense that you can't settle, can't rest, can't find peace anywhere except in His presence. This is the sign, the unmistakable sign that your final miracle shift has already begun. Think about Abraham. Genesis 12:1 says, "The Lord had said to Abram, 'Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to a land I will show you.'" God didn't give him a map, didn't give him coordinates, didn't even tell him where he was going. He just said, "Leave everything familiar." And Abraham was 75 years old. 75! The age when most people are settling into routine, not starting revolutions. But here's what breaks my heart. Abraham could have stayed. He could have said, "God, I'm too old for this. I'm comfortable here. My friends are here. My routine is here." But he didn't. He felt that divine disconnection, and instead of fighting it, he followed it. And it changed human history. You want to know why you can't get comfortable anymore? Because God is making room. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins. Matthew 9:17. You can't step into your future while you're still clutching your past. Something has to break. Something has to shift. Something has to disconnect. But here's where most people miss it. They think the disconnection is the punishment. They think God is taking things away. But beloved, He's not removing, He's replacing. He's not ending, He's upgrading. He's not closing doors to hurt you. He's closing them because where you're going, those doors don't exist. Think about Joseph. One day he's his father's favorite son, wearing that coat of many colors, dreaming dreams of greatness. The next day he's at the bottom of a pit, betrayed by his own brothers, then slavery, then prison. For 13 years, Joseph's life was one disconnection after another. Everything familiar, stripped away. Everyone he trusted, gone. Every comfort, removed. But Genesis 50:20 reveals the secret. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Every disconnection was actually divine positioning. Every loss was strategic placement. Every closed door was protection from a life too small for His destiny. You aren't losing your old life. You're being handed your new one. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. November 23rd isn't just a marker on the calendar. It's a threshold, a point of no return. And every disconnection you've experienced in the last 6 months has been preparing you for what happens after you cross it. That friend who walked away without explanation, that was God removing a voice that would have talked you out of your next chapter. That church you can't connect with anymore, that was heaven graduating you from milk to meat. That routine that used to bring you comfort but now feels like a cage, that was the Spirit breaking you free from a rhythm that was killing your purpose. You've been calling it loss. God calls it liberation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, disconnected from the palace, disconnected from his people, disconnected from his identity as an Egyptian prince. He was 80 years old, tending sheep, thinking his life was over. But that disconnection was preparation, because the same man who fled Egypt as a murderer returned as a deliverer. The same man who ran from Pharaoh in fear stood before him in power. The same man who thought he was finished was just getting started. Exodus 3:8. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Not yesterday, not when you were young, not when you felt ready. Now, at 80. After the disconnection, after the wilderness, after everything familiar has been stripped away. Your misalignment with this world is your alignment with the next one. So let me ask you something that's going to determine everything. Are you going to keep fighting the disconnection, or are you going to surrender to the divine realignment? Are you going to keep trying to fit back into spaces God is pulling you out of, or are you going to trust that He's making room for something greater? Before I reveal the specific instructions heaven gave for this shift, I need to know you're ready. If you're ready for the new chapter, if you're ready to stop fighting the disconnection and start following it, Type "Yes, Lord" in the comments right now. Let heaven see your surrender. Let the angels witness your agreement, because what I'm about to share next will only make sense to those who've already said yes. Listen to me, chosen one. We don't have time for games anymore. We don't have time for religious fluff or feel-good platitudes that leave you unchanged. What I'm about to give you are 3 divine instructions, not suggestions, not recommendations, instructions, straight from the throne room of heaven. And if you ignore them, you will watch November 23rd come and go, like every other date on your calendar, while your miracle walks right past your door. You've been waiting your whole life for this moment. Don't you dare let disobedience steal what faithfulness has earned. Instruction 1. Release what God already removed. Here's a question that's going to cut deep. What are you still holding on to that God already pried from your fingers? That bitterness toward the child who abandoned you, that anger at the spouse who betrayed you, that resentment toward the church that forgot you, that shame over mistakes you made 40 years ago. God removed those chains when Jesus died on that cross. He broke those shackles when he walked out of that tomb, but you're still carrying them like treasures. Exodus 14:12 records the Israelites crying out to Moses, "It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Can you believe that? They were free, physically free, legally free, miraculously free, but mentally they were still slaves. They left Egypt, but Egypt never left them. You can't walk into a promised land holding Pharaoh's chains. Let me tell you what's happening to you right now. You're standing at the edge of the greatest breakthrough of your entire life, but you've got one hand stretched toward tomorrow and one hand gripping yesterday. And beloved, you cannot receive with clenched fists. That grudge you're nursing, it's not hurting them anymore, it's poisoning you. That unforgiveness you're protecting like it's some kind of shield, it's a prison cell, and you're both the prisoner and the warden. That past failure you keep rehearsing in your mind at 2 a.m., God already threw it into the sea of forgetfulness, but you keep diving in to drag it back to shore. Romans 8:1 declares with thunderous authority, "Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." No condemnation, not a little bit of shame, not justified guilt. No condemnation. So why are you still condemning yourself? Before November 23rd arrives, you need to write down every chain you're still holding, every grudge, every regret, every person who hurt you, every mistake that haunts you. Write it down on paper, and then this is crucial, you need to burn it, actually burn it. Watch those chains turn to ash, because what you don't release will block what God wants to give you. Instruction 2. Speak life every morning until the 23rd. Your mouth has been your greatest enemy. You've been prophesying your own defeat for decades. I'm too old. I'm too broken. I'm too tired. It's too late for me. Nobody cares about people my age anymore. Every single morning, you wake up and the first words out of your mouth curse your day before it even begins. Proverbs 18:21 warns us, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Not just influence. Power. Your words don't just describe your reality, they create it. Starting tomorrow morning, before your feet hit the floor, before you reach for your pills, before you check if anyone called, I need you to speak these declarations out loud. November 23rd is my divine appointment, and I will not miss it. What God has prepared for me is greater than what I've lost. My latter days will be more glorious than my former days. I am not forgotten. I am not finished. I am favored. Say it even if you don't feel it. Say it especially when you don't believe it. Because faith isn't feeling, faith is speaking. And every declaration you make is a seed you're planting in soil that's about to experience supernatural rain. You think I'm being dramatic? Job lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. But Job 42:12 tells us, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part." The latter part, not the younger part, the latter part. Your latter days are about to eclipse everything that came before, but you have to speak it into existence. Instruction 3. Set aside these minutes of silence each day. This is going to be the hardest instruction for you, and I know why. Silence terrifies you, because in the silence you hear the doubts. In the silence you feel the loneliness. In the silence you face the questions you've been drowning out with television noise and phone calls and anything else that keeps your mind occupied. But here's what you don't understand. God speaks clearest in the room where noise cannot enter. 1 Kings 19:12 describes it perfectly. God wasn't in the earthquake. He wasn't in the fire. He wasn't in the mighty wind. He was in a still, small voice, a whisper. And Elijah almost missed it because he was expecting thunder. How many whispers from heaven have you missed because you've been afraid of quiet? Every day until November 23rd, I need you to find 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, where you turn off everything. No television, no radio, no phone. Sit in complete silence and just listen. Don't pray. Don't plead. Don't beg. Just listen. Because God has been trying to tell you something for years, but you've been too loud to hear it. Psalm 46:10 commands, "Be still, and know that I am God." Be still, not busy, not distracted. Still. Now hear me clearly, chosen one. These aren't suggestions for religious people who have nothing better to do. These are divine instructions for warriors who are about to step into their final and greatest battle. Obedience is the doorway. Faith is the key. November 23rd is the threshold. And the question that will determine whether you experience your miracle or watch it pass you by is this: will you do what God is asking, or will you make excuses about why you can't? Because what's waiting on the other side of your obedience will take your breath away. You want to know what it's going to feel like when this shift finally lands on your life. When November 23rd stops being just another date and becomes your divine demarcation line, let me tell you something that's going to wreck every doubt you've been carrying. It won't feel like what you expect. You've been waiting for thunder, for lightning, for some Hollywood moment where the clouds part and angels descend with trumpets blaring. But that's not how God works with his chosen ones who've been refined by fire for 8 decades. No, beloved. When your final miracle shift arrives, it will feel like the sun rising after a 20-year winter. You'll wake up one morning, maybe it's November 24th, maybe it's the day after, and something will be different. Not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. There will be a peace settling over your chest that you haven't felt since before your husband died. A clarity cutting through the fog that's clouded your mind for years. You'll look at that pill bottle you've been staring at with despair, and suddenly, inexplicably, you'll feel strength. Not the strength of youth. Something better, something ancient. The kind of strength that made Moses climb Mount Sinai at 80. The kind that made Caleb say at 85, "Give me this mountain." But here's what's going to shock you most. Those dreams you buried 40 years ago, the ones you tucked away when life got hard and bills got real and children needed raising, they're going to start whispering again. Not as fantasy, as assignment. You thought they were dead. God says they were dormant. Listen to what Ezekiel saw in that valley of dry bones, chapter 37, verse 5. "I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life." Not might, not maybe, will. Present tense in the Hebrew. Active, immediate. God wasn't talking about someday. He was talking about the moment obedience meets prophecy. And right now, your obedience to stay with this message is meeting heaven's prophecy over your final chapter. You're going to experience what I call holy ease. Decisions that used to torment you for weeks will become clear in moments. That phone call you've been dreading, you'll make it, and the words will flow like they've been waiting in your throat for decades. That apology you've rehearsed 10,000 times, it will finally come out, and freedom will follow. Because when the shift lands, it doesn't just change your circumstances, it rewires your spiritual operating system. Think about Peter in that boat. He'd fished all night, and caught nothing. His hands were raw, His back was screaming. His pride was demolished. Then Jesus shows up and says, "Try again." Luke 5:4, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Peter had every logical reason to say no, every earthly argument against wasting more energy on a failed enterprise. But something in him recognized the voice of the shift. And what happened? The nets filled so full they began to break. 2 boats loaded until they nearly sank. That's what happens when heaven's timing collides with your obedience. But here's the part that's going to absolutely shatter you, and I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. Your miracle is not coming to you. It is coming through you. Did you catch that? Read it again. Let it sink into the marrow of your tired bones. You've been sitting here thinking God's about to drop blessing into your lap like some cosmic vending machine. Press the prayer button, wait for the miracle to dispense. But that's not how this works. That's not how any of this has ever worked. God doesn't give His chosen ones miracles to consume. He gives them miracles to distribute. Look at the widow in 1 Kings 17. Elijah shows up at her door when she's down to her last handful of flour, her last drop of oil. She's literally preparing her final meal before she and her son starve to death. And what does the prophet say? "Make me a small loaf of bread first." First, before she feeds her dying child, before she takes care of herself. First. That sounds insane. That sounds cruel. That sounds like everything we've been taught about God taking care of His own. But verse 16 tells us what happened. The jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry. Not because she hoarded, because she poured. Your shift isn't coming so you can finally relax, kick back, and enjoy what's left of your days in comfortable isolation. Your shift is coming because there's a generation drowning in despair who needs to see what God looks like when He moves through someone who refused to quit. Your grandchildren need to witness breakthrough in real time. Your neighbors need to see that God still answers prayers from people with gray hair and social security checks. This broken, confused, hopeless generation needs proof that faith doesn't expire at 70. And you, yes, you sitting there wondering if you matter anymore, you're about to become that proof. The shift will feel like sunrise after winter. But what follows will feel like summer after a lifetime of cold. Warmth spreading, life returning, purpose blooming in places you thought were permanently barren. You're going to look in the mirror one morning and recognize someone you haven't seen in decades, not younger, better. The you that God always saw underneath the pain, the disappointment, the years of just surviving. But I need to tell you something urgent, something that cannot wait until tomorrow or next week or when you feel more ready. The shift is already moving. Heaven has already released it. The question burning in the throne room right now is this: will you be positioned to receive it when it arrives? You've been feeling it, haven't you? That strange quietness, that eerie stillness that settled over your life like fresh snow on a graveyard. The phone doesn't ring like it used to. Your prayers feel like they're hitting a ceiling made of concrete. Even your own voice sounds distant, like you're speaking underwater. And you've been wondering, God, have you forgotten me? Have I done something wrong? Why does it feel like you've turned your back on me in the final quarter of my life? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What you're experiencing right now isn't abandonment, it's assignment. You haven't been forgotten, you've been summoned. Before November 23rd arrives, before your final miracle shift manifests, heaven has called you into what I can only describe as the silent room. This is the room where God turns off the world so He can turn on your spirit. Think about it. Moses didn't receive the 10 Commandments in the marketplace. He received them alone on Mount Sinai, wrapped in cloud and fire, separated from the noise of 2 million complaining Israelites. For 40 days and 40 nights, Moses sat in divine silence while heaven downloaded the blueprint that would shape a nation. Elijah didn't hear the voice of God in the earthquake or the fire. 1 Kings chapter 19 tells us he heard it in the still small voice, but only after he'd been driven into a cave. isolated, convinced he was the last one standing. The silent room. John the Revelator didn't write the book of Revelation while surrounded by friends and family. He received it alone on the island of Patmos, exiled, forgotten by the world, but remembered by heaven. In his isolation, he saw eternity. Do you see the pattern? Every major shift in Scripture was preceded by sacred isolation, and now it's your turn. You thought that quiet apartment was loneliness. Heaven calls it the silent room. You thought those friendships fading away was rejection. God calls it removal of distraction. You thought your children forgetting to call was abandonment. The Almighty calls it divine detachment, separating you from voices that would drown out His voice. But here's what breaks my heart. So many of God's chosen ones are sitting in the silent room right now, thinking they're being punished when they're actually being positioned. They're interpreting preparation as punishment. They're calling promotion a problem. Dear one, the silent room is not where God forgets you. It's where He focuses on you. Think about a surgeon preparing for a critical operation. What does he do before he cuts? He clears the operating room. He removes every unnecessary person. He demands absolute silence. Why? Because what he's about to do requires precision, concentration, total focus. One distraction could cost a life. That's what God is doing right now. He's cleared your operating room. He's removed the distractions, silenced the noise, isolated you from everything that would interfere with the spiritual surgery He's about to perform. Because what He's preparing to do in you, through you, and for you is so precise, so powerful, so unprecedented that it requires His undivided attention and yours. But the enemy wants you to misinterpret this moment. He wants you to believe the silence means God isn't speaking. He wants you to think the stillness means nothing is happening. He wants you to conclude that at 75, 85, 95 years old, you've been shelved, retired, put out to pasture. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Jesus Himself spent 40 days in the wilderness, silent, alone, tempted, tested before He launched the most powerful ministry the world has ever seen. The silent room wasn't His ending. It was His beginning. And it's yours too. Right now, in that quiet house, in that assisted living facility, in that bedroom where you spend more time alone than you ever have in your entire life, you're not being forgotten. You're being prepared for the greatest demonstration of God's power you've ever witnessed. But I need you to understand something crucial. The silent room has a purpose. It's not just about what God is removing from your life. It's about what He's revealing to your spirit. In the silence, you hear things you couldn't hear in the noise. In the stillness, you see things you couldn't see in the chaos. In the isolation, God speaks truths that crowds would never let you receive. Job sat in his silent room covered in boils, abandoned by friends, questioned by his wife, tormented by his circumstances. But in that room, he had an encounter with God so powerful that when he emerged, he declared in Job 42 verse 5, "I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes sees you." The silent room transformed Job's second-hand religion into first-hand revelation. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. Every comfortable theology that never got tested is being stripped away. Every borrowed belief that you inherited but never owned is being challenged. Every Sunday school answer that sounded good but never carried you through fire is being replaced with something deeper, something stronger, something that can hold you when everything else fails. The silent room is God's intensive care unit for your faith. But here's the mystery that will unlock everything. Inside this silent room, one revelation will rise, one truth will emerge that will explain everything you've been through, everything you're going through, and everything you're about to step into. And I'm going to reveal it in part 12 of this message. For now, I need you to stop fighting the silence. Stop resenting the stillness. Stop interpreting your isolation as rejection. You're not in a tomb, you're in a womb. And what's being formed inside you during these quiet days will astound everyone who counted you out. The question is, will you trust the silent room, or will you run from the very place where God is preparing your greatest miracle? You want to know why this year has felt different, why the last 6 months have been the hardest of your entire life, why just when you thought you were finally catching your breath, something else crashed down on you. Let me tell you something that's going to cut through every religious platitude you've ever heard. The enemy doesn't fight your present, he fights your prophecy. Think about this. When Pharaoh heard that a deliverer was coming, what did he do? He didn't wait for Moses to grow up and challenge him. No, he ordered every Hebrew baby boy thrown into the Nile. Exodus 1:22 tells us plainly, "Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people. Every Hebrew boy that is born, you must throw into the Nile." Why? Because hell always tries to drown your destiny in its infancy. When Herod learned that a king was born in Bethlehem, he didn't send a delegation to negotiate. He sent soldiers to slaughter every male child under 2 years old. Matthew 2:16 records the massacre. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under. Do you see the pattern? The closer you get to your moment, the more vicious the attack becomes. And you, chosen one, you've been under siege. That depression that hit you out of nowhere last spring, that wasn't chemical imbalance. That was strategic warfare. Those thoughts telling you to give up, that you're too old, that your time has passed, that God has forgotten you. Those weren't your thoughts. They were assignments. The financial pressure that intensified right when you started feeling hopeful again, the health scare that came just as you began to dream, the relationship that fractured precisely when you needed support most. Beloved, those weren't coincidences. Those were calculated strikes designed to take you out before November 23rd. You're tired because you've been fighting battles your eyes couldn't see. While you were trying to sleep at 3 a.m., there were angels standing guard around your bed, blocking attacks you never knew were launched. While you were sitting in that doctor's office getting devastating news, there were warriors in the unseen realm redirecting death sentences. While you were crying in your kitchen, wondering if anyone even cared if you lived or died, heaven was dispatching reinforcements because the enemy had marked you for elimination. Why? Because he knows what's coming on November 23rd. He knows what God is about to release. He knows that if you make it to that threshold, if you cross into your final miracle shift, his reign of terror over your bloodline ends forever. Job understood this warfare. The Bible says in Job 1:10 that God had put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has. But notice what Satan said next. Have you not put a hedge around him? Even the devil acknowledged that Job was protected, but God allowed a season of testing, and everything Job owned was destroyed in a single day. His children died, his wealth evaporated, his health collapsed. His wife told him to curse God and die. But here's what hell didn't count on. The attack wasn't Job's ending, it was his setup. Job 42:10 records the turnaround. After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. Not the same amount. Not slightly more. Twice. You've been living in your Job season. The enemy threw everything at you because he saw what God was preparing. Every loss was hell's attempt to make you forfeit your future. Every pain was designed to make you quit before the payoff. Every attack was calculated to convince you that God had abandoned you. But you're still here. After everything hell has thrown at you, you're still breathing, still believing, still watching this message. That's not luck, beloved. That's proof that you're hedged. That's evidence that heaven has marked you as untouchable. Daniel 10:13 pulls back the curtain on what's really happening in the unseen realm. The angel told Daniel, "The prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me." Did you catch that? Daniel was praying, and for 3 weeks it looked like nothing was happening. But the delay wasn't denial. There was a war raging in the heavenlies over Daniel's answer. Right now, there is a war raging over your November 23rd. While you've been feeling forgotten, heaven has been fighting. While you've been wondering if God is even listening, angels have been battling principalities assigned to block your breakthrough. Hell always launches its strongest attack the moment heaven releases its strongest angel. And the intensity you've been experiencing, that's not punishment, that's proof. The enemy only fights this hard when there's something worth fighting for. He doesn't waste ammunition on people who pose no threat. But you're a threat to his kingdom. Your survival is a threat. Your faith is a threat. Your refusal to quit is a threat. Every morning you woke up when you wanted to stay in bed, that was a small victory hell tried to prevent. Every time you chose to pray when doubt screamed louder, that was warfare you won in the secret place. Every moment you resisted the urge to end it all, that was you surviving an assassination attempt from the pit of hell itself. 1 Peter 5-8 warns us, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." But notice it says he prowls like a lion. He's not a lion. He's imitating one. He roars to intimidate you into surrendering what he cannot take by force. You've been intimidated long enough. You've been terrorized long enough. You've believed his roar long enough. But what if I told you that the war you've been fighting is almost over? What if the reason the attacks intensified is because the enemy knows his time is up? What if November 23rd isn't just another day, but the moment when everything hell tried to steal gets restored with interest? Part 11 reveals the three forces fighting for you right now. 3 supernatural allies you didn't even know were assigned to your case. But before we get there, you need to understand something that will change how you see every battle you've ever fought. Because the war wasn't about destroying you. It was about delaying what God was about to do through you. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching chosen ones who fought hell itself for decades suddenly believe they have to walk into their final miracle alone. Like somehow, after everything God has brought you through, he's just going to step back and say, "Good luck with this last part." That's a lie straight from the pit. Listen to me, beloved. If you think you're limping into November 23rd on your own strength, carrying the weight of your prayers, your failures, your unanswered questions on these tired shoulders, stop right there, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter that deception forever. You are not walking into this shift. You are being escorted. Right now, in this very moment, there are 3 divine forces, 3 supernatural hands, positioning themselves around your life. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, right now. And what they're about to do will make every year of waiting, every night of weeping, every moment you thought God had forgotten your address, suddenly make sense. The first force is the force of protection. And I need you to understand something that might shock you. Every door that slammed in your face over the last 5 years, every opportunity that dissolved right when you thought it was yours, every relationship that fell apart when you were certain it was God's will, that wasn't rejection, beloved. That was protection. Psalm 121:7-8 declares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." Do you hear that? He will keep you from all harm. Not some harm, all harm. Even the harm that looks like blessing, even the harm that comes wrapped in answered prayers. Think about this. What if that job you didn't get at 72 would have worked you into an early grave? What if that investment opportunity that fell through would have bankrupted your children's inheritance? What if that second marriage you begged God for would have destroyed the peace you've finally found? God wasn't saying no to you. He was saying no for you. But here's where it gets supernatural. The force of protection isn't just blocking what's behind you, it's clearing the path ahead. Right now, there are obstacles in your future that you can't even see yet. Financial traps, health crises, spiritual ambushes, and heaven is dismantling them before you ever arrive. You're not just being guarded, you're being guided through a minefield you'll never know existed. Can you feel that shift in the atmosphere around your life? That's not anxiety. That's divine covering dropping into place. The second force is the force of alignment, and this one is going to leave you speechless. You know those people who suddenly showed up in your life this year? The ones you met by chance at the grocery store, at the doctor's office, at church. You thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. That was heaven positioning your next season's connections before you even knew you needed them. Romans 8:28 isn't just a pretty verse for greeting cards. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. In all things. That conversation you had last Tuesday that felt random, that was alignment. That phone call from someone you hadn't spoken to in 20 years, that was alignment. That sudden urge to pray for someone you barely know, that was alignment. God is moving chess pieces you can't even see on a board you didn't know you were playing on. He's orchestrating divine appointments, strategic relationships, supernatural timing, all converging on November 23rd, like rivers flowing into an ocean. But here's what's going to wreck you. He's not just aligning people, he's aligning your children who stopped calling. He's aligning your finances that never made sense. He's aligning your health that's been declining. He's aligning your purpose that's been buried under decades of disappointment. Everything that's been scattered, fragmented, broken apart in your life, it's being pulled back together by an invisible hand. You've been living in pieces. You're about to live in wholeness. And then there's the third force, the force of acceleration. And beloved, this is where everything you thought you knew about God's timing gets obliterated. You've spent years, maybe decades, waiting, praying the same prayers, believing for the same breakthroughs, watching the calendar pages turn while your miracle stayed locked in heaven. And the enemy has been whispering, "It's too late, you're too old, your time has passed." But Isaiah 60:22 declares something that should make your spirit explode right now. I am the Lord. In its time I will do this swiftly. In its time I will do this swiftly, not slowly, not gradually, swiftly. When God decides it's time to move in your life, he doesn't ease you into blessing. He catapults you. What took Joseph 13 years to position took one day to manifest. What took Moses 40 years in the wilderness took one burning bush to activate. What took Abraham 25 years to wait for took one supernatural visitation to fulfill. Your acceleration isn't coming in increments. It's coming in an explosion. That breakthrough you've been begging for, it's not going to trickle in like a leaky faucet. It's going to burst through like a dam breaking. That healing you've been praying for, it's not going to improve gradually. It's going to manifest suddenly. That provision you've been desperate for, it's not going to arrive in small checks. It's going to flood in from directions you never imagined. But here's what you need to understand. These three forces, protection, alignment, acceleration, they don't work independently. They work together, like three mighty hands lifting you from the valley onto the mountaintop. One hand blocks the enemy behind you. One hand positions the blessing beside you. One hand propels you forward into your destiny. And right now, beloved, those hands are gripping your life. God is not asking you to walk into November 23rd. He is carrying you. You are not limping into your miracle. You are being escorted by the armies of heaven into the greatest shift of your entire existence. If you feel this lift in your spirit right now, if something inside you just broke free from the weight you've been carrying, comment below, "Carry me, Lord." Let heaven know you're ready to stop striving and start receiving. Because what's waiting for you on the other side of this shift isn't just better, it's unrecognizable. And the only question left is whether you'll surrender to the forces already moving on your behalf. But there's something you need to know about November 23rd that nobody's telling you. Something the enemy has been desperately trying to keep hidden. And when I reveal it in the next part, everything about your waiting is going to make sense. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's chosen ones spend their final years waiting for a miracle, when the miracle has been waiting for them. Let me tell you something that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about November 23rd. This date isn't about what's coming to you, it's about who's coming out of you. For 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been praying the same prayer. God, change my circumstances, fix my family, heal my body, restore what I lost. And heaven has been whispering back something you couldn't quite hear until this moment. I'm not changing your circumstances until I change you. That's the revelation, beloved. That's the secret heaven has been protecting until you were ready to receive it. God reveals the version of you that your miracle requires. Think about Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace, he tried to deliver Israel in his own strength. Failed miserably. Killed a man. Ran for his life. Then God hid him in the wilderness for another 40 years, 80 years old, and Moses thought his story was over. But God was saying, no, I was just waiting for palace Moses to die so wilderness Moses could be born. The Moses who stood before the burning bush wasn't the same man who fled Egypt. That man was broken, humble, completely dependent on God's voice. And that's the Moses who could handle the Red Sea. You're not waiting for your Red Sea moment, dear one. Your Red Sea is waiting for the real you. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Every closed door, every delayed answer, every year you spent wondering if God forgot your address, it wasn't rejection. It was reconstruction. God was dismantling the old version of you that couldn't carry what he's about to release. Jeremiah 18 shows us the potter's wheel. So I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working at the wheel. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. You think you've been sitting on a shelf collecting dust, but you've been on the wheel. Every loss reshaped your trust. Every betrayal reformed your faith. Every disappointment remolded your dependence. The marred pot had to be broken down so the masterpiece could emerge. And November 23rd, that's when the potter says, now you're ready. But here's where it gets dangerous. Here's where most people miss their miracle. They want the breakthrough without the breaking. They want the promotion without the preparation. They want God to change everything around them while they stay exactly the same inside. That's not how kingdom miracles work. Listen to what Jesus said in Matthew 9:17. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Your miracle is new wine. But if God poured it into the old you, the you that's still bitter about the past, still controlled by fear, still operating in victim mentality, you'd lose it. The blessing would burst you. The breakthrough would break you. So what has God been doing all these years while you thought he was silent? He's been making you new, stretching your capacity, expanding your faith, rebuilding your foundation strong enough to hold what's coming. This shift isn't about what's coming to your life. It's about who you must become inside your life. The widow of Zarephath had one meal left, one handful of flour, one drop of oil. Enough for her and her son to eat and die. But when Elijah asked her to make him a cake first, to give from her lack, to become a woman of radical obedience instead of reasonable fear, that's when the miracle activated. 1 Kings 17:16 says, For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord. The miracle didn't come to the old her. It came to the new her. The her who chose faith over logic, the her who gave when holding on made more sense, the her who became who the miracle required. So let me ask you something that's going to expose where you really are. When November 23rd arrives and heaven opens that door, will you be ready to walk through it? Or will you still be the same person who's been complaining about closed doors for the last decade? Your miracle isn't looking for your resume. It's looking for your readiness. It's not checking your age. It's checking your surrender. It's not measuring your strength. It's measuring your willingness to become who you've never been, to receive what you've never had. Right now, In the silent room of your heart, God is whispering your new name. Not the name your family calls you, not the name society gave you, your heaven name, the identity that's been waiting beneath your struggle, the you that's been buried under years of survival mode. And in part 13, I'm going to reveal exactly what that new you looks like, what you'll carry, how you'll walk, why people won't recognize you anymore. Because, beloved, the person entering November 23rd won't be the same person leaving it. But the question burning in the room right now is this: are you willing to let the old you die so the miracle you can live? Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred hour together, I need you to remember 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul. First, November 23rd isn't just another date, it's your divine checkpoint. The stirring you've been feeling, the restlessness in your chest, the whisper that won't let you sleep. That's not anxiety, that's activation. Heaven is turning the knob on a door you've been staring at for decades. Second, your miracle isn't waiting for perfect circumstances. It's waiting for the new you, the you who's been refined by fire, reshaped by loss, rebuilt by surrender. Every tear, every closed door, every year of waiting, it was all preparing you to carry what's coming without breaking. Third, your age is not your disqualification, it's your coronation. While the world sees your grey hair and whispers finished, heaven sees your wisdom and declares finally ready. But hear me clearly, you are not walking this path alone. The same God who kept you breathing through every storm that should have destroyed you is still working in your life right now, in this very moment. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you at the threshold of your greatest chapter. And beyond God's presence, you have us, this community. Thousands of chosen ones just like you who understand the sacred loneliness of being set apart. We see you. We believe for you. We will pray with you. So let me ask you one final question that will echo long after this video ends. When November 23rd arrives and that door swings open, will you step through it as who you've always been, or as who you're becoming? Before you go, let me pray over you with everything in me. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul watching this right now. You know their names, you know their struggles, you know the battles they've fought in silence and the victories they've won in secret. Lord, I pray that November 23rd becomes the day they finally see what you've been building in the darkness. Open doors no man can shut. Provide resources they haven't thought to ask for. Send divine connections that will confirm their calling. Heal their bodies, restore their families, multiply their provision. But most of all, Father, give them eyes to see who they're becoming. Let them wake up that morning knowing they are loved, chosen, and ready. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. Now I need you to do something. Comment below and tell us what God spoke to your heart today. What shifted? What broke open? Ask questions, we're here to pray with you. And please, share this message with someone who needs to know their final miracle is closer than they think. Thank you for spending this sacred hour with me. Thank you for opening your heart, for staying until the very end. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell because your breakthrough journey is just beginning. Until November 23rd, walk in your authority. You are chosen, you are ready, and you are never, ever alone. God bless you mightily, beloved. Your final miracle shift is here.